Big, massive welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for all of your continued support as well. It means so much to me. I know I haven't had a chance to reply to all the comments and stuff. Hopefully I will get a chance to soon. I hope that you are all extremely well. I've got some really important messages for today with regards to the twin flames, and I believe I'm going to do more videos on this because it's pretty much one of the main reasons why I think I'm meant to do this work, and there's been a lot of resistance in me for kind of coming out and saying it, but it's to do with kind of well, it's kind of darker energies that kind of try and affect the twin flame union and anyone who's on the spiritual path. You know, and it's nothing to be afraid of. I have to say it's nothing to be afraid of, because ultimately your faith in the divine and your faith in yourself and your authenticity are the things that are going to get you through these things. But the purpose of this video is not to bash anyone. Sorry, there's a bit of dust there, that's not an orb or anything. The purpose of this video is to show you some signs to look out for, some things to be aware of within yourself, and just the very fact that you'll have that awareness will really stand you in really good stead to not have to face some of the problems that I had to face. Also, I want to talk about some of the synchronicities that are happening around the time of this video, and why I had to put it out there now. There are a lot, it's also to do with who you give your attention to and who you choose to have as your teachers. So thank you so much for, you know, you guys being here and choosing to listen to me. I'm just here to serve you guys, and especially with this video, I just cannot tell you how much I just want to get across certain things, because I honestly would not want anyone to be in the position that I was in. It really wasn't very pleasant. Anyway, so the series is basically all about, you know, the dark side of light workers, really, because, you know, spirituality has been around for ages, and just like there are so many wonderful people here who do a very authentic and true job, there are also those who are charlatans. There are also people that are there just to exploit others, especially because a lot of people, when they turn to the spiritual path, or when they feel like they're looking for something or in need of something, it's often after something quite bad has happened to them and they're looking for answers, or they're in a place of desperation. Again, I'm going to say it's another reason why I don't like the word healing. I feel like it gets thrown about everywhere, and when you say something needs healing, it's subliminally sort of telling you that there's something that's broken and something that's wrong as well, and that's not always the case. You know, we're just on a path, and we're here to learn and enjoy and experience things most importantly. So I also hope that a message of hope can come through with this. So if anyone has had the negative experience of, you know, having encountered a psychic or a healer or a teacher or a guru or anything that kind of wasn't very pleasant for them, hopefully you can take something away and use your experiences as a building block, rather than you know, see it as a problem and something that you need to heal from, etc, etc. It's just something that, you know, you can use for your benefit if you will allow that to happen. So hopefully you can do that. I'm going to be looking at my notes as well quite a lot, because I've got like 7 pages of it. Let me start with a quote. I couldn't actually find out who authored this quote, which, you know, the journalist in me was not very happy about that, because I couldn't attribute it, but it's just so apt. The quote is, "The devil doesn't come dressed in a red cape and pointy horns. He comes as everything you've ever wished for." And that's something that's really important to remember. And if you remember that, you know, it will save you a lot of trouble, because what you've got to remember on the twin flame journey, especially when you're just starting out, is you're in a place of desperation. You kind of don't know what's going on. If it's your first kind of experience of a spiritual awakening, especially, it's really overwhelming and you're like, what the hell? You'll just go to anyone. You'll want to find out as much information as you could possibly get. And, you know, people are there to there are some people that can and will want to make money out of that and exploit your weakness and gain a little bit of, you know, control or whatever. It's a sad thing to say, but it's true. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the experience that happened to me. This time I wanted to do it because this time last year I was basically I got involved with a group that I wanted to help me with my spiritual business, which I still haven't really properly started, but this is a start. I just did not believe that I could do it on my own. I was already aware that I was a twin flame, etc., etc., and I was in separation at the time. I was also I was shown this opportunity to meet these people in a very, very strange way. So one of my oldest friends sent me an email, invited me to an event, a free event that this person was holding. And that same day, it was very last minute, I got an email from the volunteer group of my guru, my first and primary guru, which is this lady here. And her name's Amma, which means mother, which is just the generic name that every single South Indian lady gets called. But it was really strange. I got an email from the volunteer team, and when I got that email, I was like, oh, that's weird, because it was an email that was sent a very long time ago, but it was resent. And my intuition just kicked in and said, okay, Amma's saying you have to go to this thing. You have to actually, you're meant to be there. And I initially misunderstood, let's just say, what that entailed, but I knew that I had to be there. It was just one of those things. I ended up going, and then I got a call from the volunteer coordinator from my guru, who basically said, I don't know how the heck that email got sent, because I didn't send it. Anyway, a few people got sent it. So I ended up going to this event with my good friend, that this spiritual, not my guru, but another spiritual, a psychic, basically was holding. And I really thought at the start that it was quite a good thing. It was going to be everything that I kind of wanted it to be. And, you know, I thought, yeah, I've got a job to do. I've got things that I can help out with. All my skills can be utilised. It's going to be great. And they were always talking about kind of business and money and fame and blah, blah, blah. I wasn't really bothered about the fame, but I definitely did want to build a successful business. And then weirdly enough, there was a program that they were doing, that I got put on. It was a toss up between that place and, you know, going on that retreat and another retreat. I got just put on that retreat, and it ended up being, basically in the same place where my twin lives, which is on the other side of the world to me. But anyway, we were in separation, we weren't really talking. And like, I ended up discovering that this group that I was in was, to me, quite exploitative. I was, you know, a twin flame psychic lady who was very wonderful. The reason I don't mention their names is because I very strongly believe that I want you guys to trust your own intuition in the people that you do choose to follow. So I don't want to influence your decisions at this point. That might change in the future, I don't know. But I was warned, basically. She was like, oh, this woman's going to take more than half your money and she's going to steal your ideas and blah, blah, blah. And, well, she didn't say that, but when I got there and in the run up to it, I realised that was what was happening. And I was like, hang on a minute, I'm so confused about this. And it was basically, it was a really interesting experience for me. It was really unpleasant at the time. I was getting victimised, I was getting made to feel wrong. I wasn't really allowed to leave. I was getting, you know, people would always kind of try and contact me to bring me back. And it was basically like what that stereotypical thing of being involved in a cult. It felt very, very culty, and I didn't like it. And I'm someone who, I've had a guru since I was 14, a very, very long time. I've been to ashrams, I've been to, you know, I've got more than one guru, which isn't always recommended, but I do. And people always just think that, oh yeah, those are really culty things. They're not. Another thing I want to try and do in this video is tell you, like, kind of give you some idea of the things that kind of make them distinct, make real, genuine, authentic spiritual organizations distinct from cults. The main thing is you're free to go. Like, no one ever coerces you to do anything or makes you feel hemmed in a genuine spiritual organization. They're very empowering, but when I was in the other thing, I was made to feel like constricted, and I felt a lot of fear. There was a real sense of fear underlying a lot of the things that happened. Anyway, but at the beginning it sounded very, very good. And the reason I really wanted to talk about it because of the anniversary of when it happened, which was a year ago, that it all kicked off, and I was literally like, that was the icing on the cake, and I was like, I have to get out and I have to do something about it. I also was a very, you know, I didn't think that I really had enough going for me in terms of my knowledge, and which was completely wrong, because, you know, the more I got involved with them, with that organization, and also even some of the healers and stuff, the healers and the people that I spoke to, just in general, like, I just thought it didn't resonate with me. I was like, no, I've got another message. And some of them also told me that I had to, you know, there were people out there who needed to hear what I have to say. So I genuinely now, obviously 110% know that that's true, because nobody else says what I say. And, you know, in this time when there's 1,000,001 people out there who are now, I don't want to say jumping onto the twin flame bandwagon, but everywhere you look, every next video is kind of like a twin flame reading, divine feminine, divine masculine reading, blah, blah, blah. Some of them are really good. Some of them, I think, why bother, you know? So there really is a big variety. You know, pick and choose. It's a smorgasbord of choice out there now, which wasn't really the case a couple of years ago. But, you know, enjoy it. Around about the time that this happened to me, there was a big, I'm not going to go into it, but there was a big drama that was happening in the community about a certain healer who was promoted, and then a lot of people had very, very, very dark, very negative experiences with that person. And it was exactly the same timeline that it happened with me, with someone who was unrelated. But this person did very much want to get on the whole twin flame thing, and she did interfere and meddle with my relationship. And I made the effort to patch things up with my twin at the time when I was in the place that he's in, and we were going to meet up. And I remember, and the healer, the psychic lady who was running the course, her love life was not, well, it was basically a bit of a disaster, but she was really desperate to get with someone. And like, she was always going on about loneliness being like the worst thing ever, and that was the source of all problems. And basically she was like a single mum with a couple of kids, and you know, like, whatever, that was her thing. But I remember having the thought, oh my god, I'm so lucky to have met my twin. Like, he loves me so much. Like, I'm so truly, truly blessed. And now we finally patched things up, and I'm going to see him. I was going to go see him the very next day. And then I looked up and I saw that she was looking straight at me. And then she was talking about something else. I wasn't listening. She burst out crying, and I was like, shit, you've just read my thoughts. You know what I'm thinking. Next thing you know, I get home, go back to my hotel room. My twin literally just sends me a message saying, I'm really sorry, I can't meet you. And that was that. It was fine. I went and you know, it really messed up my plans, you know, but I just knew that there was some meddling from that side that caused him to fear and run again. And I was very embedded because I allowed myself to get embedded in that energy as well. So I felt a bit guilty that I'd kind of spread that onto him too. But it is what it is. I'm going to come to that later. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a backstory of what was going on. So aside from kind of taking a few of my ideas, which was not pleasant, and passing them off as her own, accusing me of being a spy and a Judas and blah, 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 and literally like trying to humiliate me and belittle me in front of everybody else. I didn't back down though. I was like, okay, whatever. And there were times when I'll go into it, you know, more later on. And I'm not saying this to actually make this person wrong, and I'll tell you why later, because they were just doing what they were doing. And ultimately I benefited from it, not in the way that anyone expected to, and a lot of people still were there because they were getting something from it. So it was their own basically whatever was happening, it happened because it needed to happen for whatever reason. There was a logic to it and whatnot, and you've got to accept that. And it's by accepting it and not kind of making it wrong and kind of just saying that she's bad or she's evil or whatever, because I'm not actually saying that. I'm just saying that this is what happened to me. It wasn't beneficial, so I left and I chose to leave. I was very, very, very afraid to speak out about it for a long time because I was like, oh my God, really bad things can happen. I don't know what, and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, bullshit. I was sent there by my guru. I've always been a spiritual person. I know that I'm just protected. So, and that's where like your own, if you are a religious person or a spiritual person and you have that faith, the reason it's a good thing is because it supports you and it strengthens your own belief in yourself and your belief in your ability to actually do stuff and be okay. That's why it's a help. It's not because you need to appease some egotistical God that's sitting up in the clouds or whatever, because that's not how it is. He's in here. So, and he's in here, or she, whatever. So that was part of the timing. It all happened around this time. But there was resistance in me to actually come up and actually tackle it, because it's such a big kind of complicated topic, and I didn't want to just like sit here and waffle on and on and on. So I'm going to try not to, so bear with me, because embedded in all that waffle there is going to be good stuff that people need to hear. So what happened was I actually saw that I did a search for the Divine Masculine on YouTube, and I was horrified to see that just a couple of days ago that one of her videos came up, and I was like, what? Don't tell me. And then for a bit, for a little while I was a little bit kind of like, oh, should I be worried, sort of thing. Yeah, so basically, like, I saw her name pop up, and I was like, okay, so this is like a year on from when this all happened, and I was really facing a lot of resistance to actually make this video. But annoyingly enough, it later dawned on me that this was just another way of me. It was just another sign that I needed to make it, that it was actually important to do it. So so here I am, really. It's the timing of seeing that on YouTube was so that I can make you guys aware that you need to actually kind of be careful about who you give your attention to, because there are some people there who will kind of fearmonger, who will try and exploit you, because the intent of their videos are actually to get you to help them to make some kind of gain, rather than the main intent being for benefiting you, which, is all the best stuff, basically, whether it's a product, whether it's like that's a commercial thing, whether it's spiritual, whether it's anything, the intent has to be to really, really, really be like the best and the most authentic and beneficial to people, for it to actually kind of be a success and to be good, for people to, and people do actually resonate to that. But also, people get ripped off, people end up in bad situations. I did, and it was because I was in a really, really low place. I was in a place of fear myself and desperation, because I wanted a certain outcome to happen and I wasn't getting it. So it was insecurity, it was anxiety. And when you're vibrating at that level, you attract kind of certain situations. So it's very important to just be aware of it. Like, don't fret and think, oh yeah, I need to change it. But just be aware that that is the way that the energy works. And that's how you manifest certain outcomes. So just being aware of it will kind of help a great deal to stop that exploitation from happening. The other thing that's really, really important is there's this show that I'm watching right now. It's a very, very, very spiritual time at the moment in the Hindu calendar. Like, I think on either Wednesday or Thursday it's going to be Diwali. Diwali is one of the biggest festivals in the entire calendar. It's light is a massive kind of symbol for Hindus. The fire is a very integral part of the tantra, of the actual like rituals that happen. When we make offerings, it's put into the fire because that's what kind of is almost like the gateway between this world and the world of the devas, who are the beings of light, who, you know, range from the nature spirits. It's not just the nature spirits. If anyone tells you that, they don't know what they're talking about. It also ranges to, you know, the what you'd call like the warriors of light as well, and also the celestial musicians. All sorts of beings come under that umbrella. But the offerings that we make to the sacred fire reaches them and strengthens them, etc., 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 and helps them to help us and help the world. And it's a wonderful time because Diwali is it's all about celebrating light. It's celebrating, there are loads of those havans and yagams that go on. So there's so much beneficial energy around at the moment, and it's a celebration of for many people, it's Rama and Sita. If anyone knows the epic, the Ramayana, it's Lord Vishnu. It's one of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu and Goddess Lakshmi, who obviously are also very symbolic of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. They returned after a very, very long separation. So yeah, there's two versions of the story. One isn't quite so happy in terms of the ending, because they didn't get to stay together, but no one really bothers about anything after they kind of get together. Rama basically had to go and wage a war and travel all the way from northern India to southern India and to Sri Lanka to go and get back his wife, who was kidnapped and held hostage there in Sri Lanka. And like, it's that celebration of them coming back home, and it's called Diwali or Deepavali, and Diya basically means a little lamp, and people light lamps all through the night, and it's a symbol of, you know, good triumphing over evil. And the imagery in Hinduism is always knowledge, which is light, basically triumphing over darkness, because darkness just cannot exist where knowledge is, just the way darkness cannot exist where there is light. So that's another beautiful kind of synchronicity that's happening right now. So it's really important that I get this out right now. So I'd love to also hear your comments, your feedback. I do read them all. I know I don't reply or even respond sometimes, but I do read them all. And all your suggestions, they do get stored up here, and I will act on them in the future when I have a little bit more time. And my future itself is a little bit more certain in terms of what I'm going to do, where I'm going to be living, etc. So the other thing is, there is going to be another festival coming up, which is really massive for the Tamil community, which is what I am. And it's to do with the god of war, Lord Kartikeya, who there's basically a massive 6-day fast. I'm going to do a separate video all about that, but that's happening soon as well. And to celebrate the fact, there's this drama that my mum has started watching, and it's, you know, replete with really dreadful special effects and just really slow dialogue and slow editing, and it's fairly low budget, but in amongst all of that is just the most phenomenal and like mind-bending wisdom that is also in the dialogue, and they haven't actually lost that, because you can't really lose it. I mean, Hinduism is it's a culture that's very much based on storytelling, and the wisdom in the stories is there for those who have the ability to perceive it. And when I watch this drama, literally, like, I just sit there and, like, I'll be watching some really poor special effect, and then someone will say something amazing and it will just make my head spin. It's great. But the story is basically of how the devas actually get overpowered by the asuras, or the ungodly ones, who are kind of like the demons essentially. And the demons get this power by their tremendous hard work, and also their penance, because they pray to God. They actually pray to God, supreme God, and that's how they get God, because God just gives to everyone, because God loves everyone. God sees everyone exactly the same way. So if they ask for something, God will give them whatever they ask for. But, you know, they misuse it, and the laws of karma are what go back on them, and cause them to fail ultimately. That's what happens. But this is the story of how it happens and why certain things happen. And it's not finished or anything, it's only pretty much just started, but so many things have already happened that I just know that I need to relay to you guys right now. So basically what happens is the devas get imprisoned in a certain part of the universe, and they can't do anything. Like, normally their job is to wage war against the asuras. And you know, you might think that, is this a real thing? Is this really kind of like, hey, these beings fighting these beings, and Earth is always like stuck in the middle, and the humans are always just, you know, at the mercy of these forces for a lot of the time, or involved themselves? Or is it kind of a metaphor for, you know, the conscience, or, you know, the intuition, the self, versus the ego? It's both, quite frankly. It's whatever you want it to be. So they get imprisoned, and then Lord Shiva, it's because in this story it's there's many different versions of the story as well, but here Lord Shiva creates, out of his third eye gets born his son, who has all the qualities that he himself has. But Lord Shiva's always in Mount Kailash just meditating. So he needed someone to carry out, and he also was the one that gave out the boons to the bad guys, basically, so he can like actually destroy them. And so his son is created to do this, and that's what is going to happen. And they literally just take they try and kill him ever since he was a baby. And he Lord Kartikeya basically has to just survive all of these trials and tribulations. He was actually struck by this weapon before he was even actually kind of formed, and he was just a ball of light. This ball of light, just going wherever he needed to go to be born. But before he could even do that, like they used a weapon that was just capable of destroying worlds on the ball of light. So it broke into 6, and he was actually born that way. So they thought that they killed him off before he was even born. That didn't happen. He still found a way to kind of survive. And ever since he was a baby, like, all of these terrible things would happen, and no one could help him. And the devas would kind of go to Lord Shiva and ask all these questions, these questions like, why can't we help him? Why does it have to happen this way? You know, the baby's mother, Goddess Parvati, was also really sad that she couldn't look after the child. Like, she couldn't hold him, and she wanted to mollycoddle him and blah, blah, blah. And Lord Shiva was like, basically, no, that's, you know, it's not going to help him, because that's not going to make him strong. People saving him all the time, that's not going to make him strong. You've got to believe that he is capable. So it's only a few gurus and Shiva himself in the story that actually believe that Murugan can, Lord Kartikeya, that's another name for him, can actually kind of survive and do what he's supposed to do, which is just destroy the demon empire, basically. But he, you know, obviously he does in the end. I've spoiled it for you now, but you knew it anyway. But it's more how he does it. And it's really very clearly stated out that whatever anyone tries to do to him, because he is actually the child of God, just like all of us are. And he's very, very authentically there to just do his uphold his dharma. That's why nothing happens to him. And that was exactly, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near as great as him, but that was pretty much exactly what happened to me. Like, I was thrust into this just oh my god, quagmire of just darkness. And, you know, this woman, to me, I felt like a lot of not very nice energies there, and I was really shocked that other people couldn't see what I was seeing, but I could. And it's strange, because even though I was afraid, it was the making of me. It really was. Like, you know, there was one point in the story where a snake devours the baby Lord Kartikeya, and secretes all this poison in his stomach to drown him, and everyone up in, you know, wherever the devas were kind of like, oh my god, he's dead. And Lord Shiva was like, no, it's he's alive. And then he came out, and then he was like, it just made him stronger. And that is exactly what needs to happen. Like, everything that you overcome, it will just make you stronger and stronger and stronger. And when you do it, it will show you just how strong you are as well, because you never really get to know what you're capable of until you're pushed. So if you are worried, if you are kind of overcome with fear, if you are kind of feeling like you're getting attacked, like you're getting blocked, like you're getting all sorts of things happen to you, it's very much kind of, you know, just believe in yourself and just trust that you are. And this is again where faith comes in. Like, you're here for a mission. You agreed to a lot of this stuff, and you agreed to it because you know you knew you could do it, and you deep down you do know you can do it as well. So keep going. Another massive thing that's come up in this show is the importance of divine timing, because again, like these the ungodly ones, the asuras, they're enjoying this massive amount of success, this massive amount of power, this massive amount of glory, and like it's the devas are kind of like, yeah, but how is this possible? And it's all to do with kind of divine timing. Like, what did Lord Shiva say in the dialogue? It was basically like, yeah, all of this is happening, but they are accruing so many sins, and that just means bad karma and bad energies. They're from their own energies. It's all rebounding back on them, and it's building up. It has to build up to a certain point where the retribution can manifest. So and it's the same thing with all the good karma that people do as well. So it's all about divine timing. It's all about a certain threshold being reached, a certain level before you're able to progress. Like, say you are climbing a mountain, you can't reach the top before you reach the top. That's just how it is. So you've just got to plod along, keep doing, and keep going, and then just deal with whatever it is, you know, that you have to deal with. The other amazing thing about these stories is the fact that the asuras are not evil, in the sense that they're not just one-dimensional. They're very, very multi-layered, and some of them are actually really good. Some of, like, one of the brothers, the main kind of, there's three brothers and one sister who kind of are at the top, the king and the princes and the princess. And one of the princes is really, really the voice of reason. He's very, like, he cares about his family, and he cares about, you know, he respects his guru, because they have a guru as well, you know, they have their own thing that they have to do, and it's really nice to see the way that it all has a purpose. They are there to make the devas stronger. They are just like the contrast that we all need in this world, in duality. That's just how it is. And they play their part. They talk about the reason they got so angry and decided to take over all the worlds was because they were actually cheated, and they were cheated by the devas. So the devas are also not perfect. So there's always some darkness in the light, and there's always some light in the darkness, which makes it so much more accessible than other things that I've heard. Especially, you know, it's very common that we get very kind of like black and white, good guys versus bad guys, kind of very oversimplified storytelling in this day and age, and that's not the case in these ancient epics at all. And that also makes the asuras seem a lot less scary and a lot less alien, you know, and a lot less far away from us. So that makes them more you can deal with them. And ultimately they do benefit the devas, because they make the devas stronger. And that's how they really get to shine and be glorious. And also we can admire them as well. There are qualities that they have. They are so hardworking, the asuras. They are so dedicated. So it's not all bad. So that's another massive thing that I had to say. Another thing that that really resonated with me, actually, with the whole thing about the devas, was the fact that they were punished, or in the sense that they were their karma that they that had helped cause them to be, you know, imprisoned in this place, was the fact that they had actually shirked their responsibilities. They were meant to do some certain things, but because they had such a life of comfort in the heavens, they basically had whatever they wanted. The king of the Devas is called Indra, and he's got so many flaws. He's actually quite cowardly. He abandoned his family, etc., etc. in this particular story. So there's a lot of things to make you think about. But again, that makes them much more relatable too, because you think, okay, if the Devas are doing stuff like that and then I do it and then they redeem themselves, it doesn't make it, you know, it's, I can do it too, basically. So it makes them all much more relatable too. But the fact is, they shirked their responsibility, and that's why they ended up where they were. And it reminded me of how I didn't want to, you know, put my face on camera for so long. I didn't want to make this video for ages, because I was actually for a little while, I was actually a little bit, I guess subconsciously, and I must have not even been fully aware of it, but I was a bit afraid, and clearly not now. I'm like, whatever, I'm going to do it. This is what I'm here to do. Well, I hope you like it, but I do hope you appreciate that it wasn't the easiest, but you've just got to do these things, haven't you? And that's what it comes down to. Like, having faith just means you can't, there's no room for fear when you have faith. The other thing that it made me want to mention was the fact that there are lots of different, there's a big focus on kind of like light workers. Everyone wants to be a Blu-ray. I never talk about this stuff, as you've probably noticed, but we hear about, I'm a light worker, I'm a Blu-ray, I'm a twin flame, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a, you know, like, we're what about just being a human being? You're just a human being. Like, we're all spiritual beings. We are all spiritual beings trying to improve ourselves, and we have immense powers just in that. That's what I want to focus on. And I also want to point out that if you look at the Devas, there's many different, they're all called Devas, but like there's many different versions of them. They're not all kind of, you know, that some of the musicians, some of the artists, the other ones are like warriors. And, you know, the warriors aren't there trying to like heal everyone and be healed themselves and blah, blah, blah. Like, I find that it's, you don't get that variety. I've had people jump on my channel to offer me all this nonsense, unsolicited advice about, you need to heal, you should heal, let's all heal. And it just makes me just want to just tell everyone to shut up, quite frankly. Because we're here to just be ourselves. We're not all here to be card readers. We're not all here to be healers. We're not all here to basically be teachers either. On YouTube, because the world doesn't need 1,000,001 of people doing the same thing, because so many people just say the same thing, bang on about the same thing in the same way. We don't need that. What people should be doing is just doing whatever they are meant to do. I'm gonna, like, basically, if talking about purpose and about mission, that's another thing. If you want to have a session, I'm still doing them on a donation only basis. If you want to talk about that, if you want to talk about ascension, fatigue, things that you're going through right now, if you just want to have a talk about the twin flame experience, book a session, we can talk about that, because I can, you know, help you through it. But yeah, I really do wonder about the actual kind of quality of a lot of the stuff that's getting said at the moment, because obviously some of it is amazing, but just be aware of your reasons for going towards certain people, and think about what do you think their intentions are for doing what it is that they're doing as well. And do they have what they are offering you? If they're saying, I'm healing you so that I can get into, so that you can get into union, are they in union themselves, like physical union? Have they got what you actually want? Really make sure that you ask these questions before you do it. And also be careful about who you even watch. I can feel the energies of the people that watch these videos, that subscribe to my channel, etc. And some people, you know, are not in the best of places. I could definitely feel that I'll tell you what I feel recently, since I've got a lot of new subscribers. Welcome to everyone. You know, you're welcome to stay as long as you want. But like, I know that there's a lot of people out there. I don't know if it's because they don't know how to do the work, or if they just don't want to do the work, but they're not doing daily practice. They're not taking full responsibility for their situation. There's a lot of entitlement, there's fear, there's doubt. There's things that I don't stand for, on my channel or myself. So it's weird to actually like feel it, because it does affect us, which is why I ask for everyone to be respectful of people that actually do make these videos. If you really benefit from them, do the energy exchange, do donate, do like support us in whatever way you can, because it's not just like, oh yeah, I'll just come and like make a video. It takes time. It takes a hell of a lot of energy as well. I love doing it, I do, because I know that people need to hear what I have to say, plus nobody else says what I say. So that's why I do it, but there was resistance for me doing it for a very long time, and that's why, and I'm not saying that because I don't appreciate people, because I really, really do, but I just wanted to let you know that that's the deal. So let me quickly now help you to see, what some of the things that you maybe need to watch out for. So look at the energies around you. Like, how do you feel as a person? Like, do you feel excessively tired, or do you feel energized after you have sessions with someone, after you watch certain videos? Do you feel afraid? Do you feel an increase in fear? Or do you feel an increase in kind of calmness, in groundedness, happiness, kind of contentment, joy, empowerment? That's the big one. Do you have... think about the energies around your house. A weird thing that happened to me around, and it happened to somebody else at this psychic woman's group as well, was all the food in my flat rotted suddenly. It was really, really weird. So keep an, notice things like that. The person that you're going for, are they going to, do you feel like they're coming from a place of lack? Do you feel like they're coming from a place of actually kind of overflow? How it should be is that they shouldn't be trying to do anything. Like my guru, she's always like, I don't do anything, because she's just, it's that case of the cup overfloweth, or whatever it is. Like, they just radiate. They just absolutely radiate this amazing energy, which is what people are drawn to them for. And they never try and make people stay. If you ever feel coerced to stay, to part with your cash when you don't want to do things that you don't want to. I remember there was another psychic who, was telling me I shouldn't be doing this, that, and the other, and I was like, no, I listen to your internal compass, because that's what's going to lead you in the right way always. So don't let anyone push you around. Don't do anything you don't want to do. And you should always have the freedom to question them and hold people to account. And they should always be able to, if they're a true teacher or guru or whatever it is that they want to be, they should be able to give you an answer that satisfies your question. So what I found in this psychic woman's thing was, anyone who questioned was bad-mouthed, was ridiculed, was shamed, or was, removed or whatever. But they weren't acknowledged, and they weren't, not just me, the other people. And anyone who did move away was bad-mouthed, was, kind of, they spoke badly about them. And I've never seen that in a legitimate spiritual organization. A lot of people that were there did not seem to see these things though, and even me, I saw them, but it was almost like they had a veil of illusion, or Maya, as it's called in Hinduism, like placed over them. It was very strange. So they weren't in a place where they could see clearly, but what any authentic teacher is meant to give you is clarity. Whenever I've been to like an ashram, that's why I love being there, because I feel clear-headed. I feel like, oh right, I know things for myself now. And they help you learn things yourself. They help you when they teach you something, it resonates with you, rather than like you're told something to do and you do it. another reason why these people might not have seen it is because there was like, I don't want to say a facade of doing good, because I think that genuinely there was a desire to do charity, to help people, weirdly enough. But the focus was always on the bad, not on celebrating the good. And this is another reason why I don't like the word healing. And even too much charity, it's not empowering, you know, to just give someone a handout. It's not. So it's actually a way to make yourself feel more empowered. So, you know, whenever I give charity, I'm always very, very thankful that I'm able to give someone something, and I'm thankful to them for being there to take it. So yeah. And also, you know, I have to say the people there were really nice people. They were good people. I had fun for a while as well. On the surface, it seemed like family and all the usual kind of good stuff. So it's not all bad. Remember, you see the good. There is the good in the bad, and the bad in the good. And I've been to ashrams where I've met really, really difficult, not very, very pleasant people as well. So listen out to everything that they say. This woman, you know, like said some quite strange things. I'm not going to go into them right now, actually, but she was also quite paranoid. Like, she would say things like people were always angry at her in her own organisation and sending her daggers. She accused me of doing it as well. And I was like, well, there's no smoke without fire. I mean, I have the right to my opinion, and so do these other people. You know, I don't say anything to you. I didn't say anything to her when she was having a go at me. We were meant to take that. But, you know, very, very strange. So be aware of these kind of little indiscrepancies. And also, there was one time when she was walking and she walked straight into a pole when she was expounding, like going on about something, and was really, really happy. But she walked into a pole. And that to me showed a real lack of clarity and a lack of awareness, and you don't want that, because that's the sort of thing that you are looking at. And when you look at something, when you focus on something, you imbibe it yourself. So, you know, you don't want someone who's gonna you know, like, she also kind of attacked people, like I said. Like, she actually said that energetically she would do it to help them as well. I overheard that, and I thought it was very strange that a lot of people kind of gave up full-time jobs to also be there, but they obviously got something from it. Everyone that was there got something from it, so who knows how it's meant to, like, work out. Hang on. Also, it's a lot of psychics as well seem to think that they can tell other people how to do stuff and how it should and shouldn't be done. As any kind of psychic or intuitive, you only see part of it unless you are, like, fully established in the truth, like in enlightenment. You're like a Jivan Mukta all the time. You don't have that kind of ability to see the whole picture, especially a lot of the people that I you know, encounter saying things like this. You only see a small part, and you don't have the right to kind of, like, say that other people do things their way, right, in a right or a wrong way. Even me, like, when I'm saying this about this person, it wasn't right for me. For all of the people that are still there, because there are a few people, many of them leave, but you know, there are a couple of people that are still there, and they get something from it. Who knows what that is? But, you know, obviously they want someone to just blindly follow. And when you want a desire, when you have a desire like that, and when someone just tells you what they think you want to hear, you're giving away lots of power to them. So, you know, be aware of that. So also see if they are grounded themselves. And also, like, remember, like, if they are trying to and I know that a lot of people do this, and they do it, and it's great, and it's very authentic, and it's very real. But if people use too much of the whole kind of glory by association, like, oh yes, I'm talking to this person, I'm talking to this, I'm channeling this, blah 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 blah. We don't know what they're actually channeling. We don't know for sure who they are actually speaking to. People use these terms like Blu-ray and blah blah blah. the reason I don't use them is because they're not in everyone's perception. So if I don't perceive it myself, or if you don't perceive it yourself, and if there is no actual proof, it's just a blind belief, and I don't deal with that. Like, it's only concrete results that I try and speak about. So that's another really important thing that I wanted to say. But it was the making of me. It really, it was only when I was actually on this retreat that I finally decided to actually open my mouth and stand up to all this rubbish and like do something about it. I was like, okay, I don't want anyone else to go through this nonsense, so I'm going to start to do it. I did make a few videos, which are still up there. I'm not going to tell you what the channel's called, but my face wasn't on it either. But I was really quite surprised, actually, because I went from thinking, okay, I can't do anything on my own, to actually, yeah, I'm going to take that leap of faith and I'm going to do it. And you know, I had to face the consequences of that, because, you know, I got accused of, you know, crazy stuff, but I was like, I know that what I'm doing is right, so this is why I'm doing this now as well. And it was basically, what was so good about it was that it wasn't just a mad reaction from fear and desperation. It was actually a response. It was actually kind of me taking the responsibility to kind of like, hey, I can actually do this. I can choose how I'm going to react to this situation, or respond or act in this situation. And that's exactly what I did. And that's what has led me here, basically. It was kind of like a confirmation that, hang on, if she stole my ideas and didn't give credit to me, and I did bring them up, I brought that up with her, and she just ignored my, you know, my emails that I sent. And then I was like, look, you can't use my ideas that you got under kind of false pretenses. So that's just, I revoke all permission that I gave you. And so I stood up to her in that sense. And obviously she wasn't really very happy with that. But then you've just got to, the way to overcome that is with prayer and with meditation, with connections with really, really good people. Like there were some really good twin flame healers that did actually, you know, help me and you know, move away from them as well. So whatever I say about healers and stuff, like, I'm not saying they're all bad at all. But do be aware that a lot of people do meddle with energies and they don't fully understand what they're doing, you know. So so be aware of that. So yeah, it really made me kind of, it was a confirmation of my own kind of worth and the contribution that I could make. So you know, we've all got her to thank for listening, me making these videos right now. So yeah, be very aware and don't let anyone try and put their stuff on you, their insecurities. And because a lot of the time, people that like the sound of their own voice, people get on YouTube and want to be teachers. I used to be an actual school teacher as well. And one thing I noticed about a lot of teachers is that they love the sound of their own voice. They love being in control. They love, you know, a lot of these things. Everyone loves to be heard. A lot of people do. But you shouldn't try and, some people kind of try and get, what's the word, confirmation from I forget the word, you know, from other people. That's what you've got to be careful of. Don't let anyone hem you in, coerce you, or make you do anything you don't want to. That's the main thing. And also, no one else can save you. So if anyone's kind of telling you that you don't need to do anything and I'll just heal you and everything will be fine, the alarm bell should be going off in your head, because ultimately you're the one that does all of the work. You are. So think about that for a while, and if it doesn't make sense to you, it's because, you know, you're the one that allows things to happen. And if something bad like this has happened to you, use it as a way to show you where your boundaries are, because that's what it did for me. And use it as a way to make you think, okay, take stock. How do you want to react I keep saying react. How do you want to respond? How do you want to actually like take action now and go forward? Come up with a plan. You know, you can always do something, and always know that you know, you are, especially if you're a true twin flame, you are very, very protected and you've got this massive team around you. And the more you can meditate and get in touch with yourself and your inner guidance, the more you'll kind of know that as well. So everything serves a purpose. It's all about using whatever happens to you, your experiences, to you know, build a ladder to where you want to go. So I hope that this has showed you some things to be to watch out for, and I hope that it's been helpful. Be really, really aware of your own power, and you know, it's almost like your energy is a currency. And I always say that, you know, your you know, you've got a limited amount of it to hand at the moment. Actually, your energy is kind of limitless, but be very careful about who you give that currency to. In the form of your attention, in the form of your time, in the form of your actual money, because that's another form of like energy in itself that has a totally different feel. And also like your comments and your thoughts as well. Like if you give someone bad vibes even, or good vibes, that's still a way of connecting with them. So that's it. I believe that that's all that I wanted to say in this particular little segment. I'm still doing readings. I'm still doing sessions. It is limited availability, but I have got some slots for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try and do a reading for you guys as well tomorrow. And I just thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to this long rambling message right till the end. It's really, really important stuff. This is one of the main reasons why I am here, to share my experiences about this. Any questions, any comments, any likes, any shares will be very, very, very warmly welcomed and appreciated. I really, really pray that all of you have an absolutely amazing Diwali and are just blessed, just beyond measure, with just success and with victory over all of your doubts, all of your inner enemies, and you know, any kind of obstacles that you face. I hope that you overcome them all, basically. So that's my prayer for you guys for Diwali, and have a great time. Buy yourself some new clothes. It's a new start. Start like you mean to go on. It's a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic time to consciously eat and be with people that you care about, pray, meditate, and just have a good time and stay really, really high vibrational. That's the best thing that you could possibly do for everyone, and the collective as well, and yourself. Okay, so yeah, lots of love. Bye.